Welcome back. This is Mr. Von Ah, and we are graphing parabolas. All right, so last time in our last video, we learned how to graph just the basic f of x equals ax squared, right? Well, now we're going to expand on that, and we're going to learn how to graph the quadratic function when it's in this form, a of x minus h to the second power. All right? So what you'll find is that this form actually makes it very easy to graph. Okay, so the first thing, we're going to do a little example. And the example is we're going to graph f of x equals x minus 3 squared. Okay, we're going to do a little bit more than that. We're also going to find the vertex of that function, and we're going to find the line of symmetry, or the LOS, of this function. All right, so let's get right to it. If you remember from last time, what we do first is we have to set up a table. All right, because we want to get our ordered pairs, right? Remember we had our x values here and our f of x values here. And by the way, this could be g of x, h of x, it could be h of t, it could be anything, okay? But generically, it's f of x. All right, so remember last time we tried to choose 7 values for x. Okay, and we knew that our vertex was 0, right? So we just put a 0 here, and then we'd go 3 less and 3 more. Well, the reason why that worked, the reason we knew the vertex was 0, because we knew that the vertex was at the lowest point, was at a value of 0. The f of x value was 0, right? So when f of x equals 0, we knew that x was 0. Well, in this case here, we got to figure out what value of x would make f of x 0. Okay? Would 0 work? Well, 0 minus 3 is negative 3, and negative 3 squared is 9. All right? Can you think of a value for x that would make this whole item here equal to 0? Well, it would be 3, right? Positive 3, because 3 minus 3 is 0, and 0 squared is 0, right? So we're looking for an x value that will make this part of the function equal to 0, okay? Because that's going to represent our vertex, which is right in the middle of our parabola. All right, so instead of putting a 0 here, I'm going to put a 3. All right, so I got a 3 here. I'm going to go 3 less and 3 more. So 3 less, I'm going to go 2, 1, 0. And now 3 more. 4, 5, 6. All right? So now I have my x values. So again, the first thing, find your vertex, and then find 3 values less and 3 values more for your x values. All right, now let's go ahead and solve for f of x. All right, so at x equals 0, what does f of x equal? Well, let's see. F of x is going to, well, let's see, f of 0. What's f of 0? Well, it's 0 minus 3 squared. Okay? Just taking it right from the function. Okay, so 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. That's going to give us 9. All right, how about at f of 1? All right, when x equals 1. All right, well, I got, what, 1 minus 3 squared? What does that equal? 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. All right, so how about at x equals 2? So that would be f of 2 is 2 minus 3 squared. Well, 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared is positive 1. Maybe this is starting to look familiar. How about when x equals 3? In other words, what's f of 3? F of 3 equals, well, I just substitute in 3 for x. 3 minus 3 squared. Well, 3 minus 3 is 0, and 0 squared is 0. Ah, see that? That's going to be our vertex. Okay, so now remember from last time, we can fill in these values really quick. It's just a mirror image of these values here. So this would be a 1, because that's a 1, right? And this would be a 4, and this would be a 9. All right, so there's our 7 ordered pairs. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plot these on our fancy little graph here, fancy ordered coordinate grid. All right, so let's go ahead and start. 0, 9. 0, 9. Well, let's see. At x equals 0 is right here. And f of x equals 9 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's our first ordered pair. All right, 1, 4. So over 1, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we got 2, 1. 3, 0. 4, 1. 5, 4. And 6, 9. All right, and then we just sketch that guy, this parabola. Yeah, kind of off, but you get the point. Okay, so I want you to see what has happened to our parabola. Well, before, the vertex and the line of symmetry always went through at x equals 0. But look, the vertex shifted. And my parabola is a little bit off here, but that's the vertex right there. All right? And here's my line of symmetry. See that? There's my line of symmetry. So there's my graph. That's part A. My vertex is at, well, what's that ordered pair right there? Can you name that ordered pair? Well, x equals 1, 2, 3. And what's my f of x value there? My y value is 0. All right? So your vertex is going to be an ordered pair. In this case, it's at 3, 0. Okay, your line of symmetry. Your line of symmetry, where's your line of symmetry? Well, here's your line of symmetry. And your line of symmetry is at x equals, x equals what? Oh, 1, 2, 3. X equals 3. By the way, the line of symmetry will always pass through your vertex. All right, so if you find one, you know the other one. Okay, there's my line of symmetry. Okay, so now let's make an observation. So this was my original function. F of x equals x minus 3 squared. What happened to my parabola as a result of that little 3 there? Okay? Because if that 3 wasn't there, if it was just x squared, my graph would have looked something like this. All right? But what happened because of that minus 3? Well, you can see that my parabola shifted to the right. It shifted to the right how much? It shifted, well, 1, 2, 3. The vertex went over plus 3. Okay? So that's because of that 3 right there. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that's a minus 3. Shouldn't it have shifted to the left? Well, here's the way I like to think about it. Just think opposite. If that's a minus 3, it shifts to the right, positive 3. And the reason for that is because this has to be 0. This has to be 0. And if I have a minus 3 there, to make it 0, I have to add 3. Okay? So this is going to make it shift 3 to the right. Okay? Now, what do you think would have happened if we would have had f of x equals x plus 3 squared? What do you think would happen then? Well, that plus 3, in order to make this whole thing 0, this x has to be a negative 3. Right? So this thing would actually shift 1, 2, 3 to the left. Okay? So this would be what? F of x equals x plus 3 squared. And this one would be f of x equals x minus 3 squared. So I don't know if you can read that, but the idea here is it's very important to know the shifting of your parabola. And the reason for that is because if I know the shift, I'll know my vertex. So for example, when I see this, I know, oh, this shifts 3 to the right. So I know that my vertex is at x equals 3. Boom. And I can start plotting my ordered pairs. If I see this guy, x plus 3 squared, I think, oh, that shifted 3 to the left. So that means that my vertex is going to be at x equals negative 3. So that's going to help me know where to start. And then I can branch out from there and get my other x values to graph. All right? So that's the bottom line. This basically just shows a shift left or right for your parabola, which helps you find the vertex, which in turn helps you set up your x values so that you can graph this. All right? I hope this was helpful. Make sure you practice. That's what helps this really sink in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can get notified of further videos that I make. All right? Until then, may God richly bless you.